Hi everyone, welcome back to the Lightworkers. Today here we are with Astha Raina. That's how you pronounce it, Astha?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, so Astha, why don't you introduce yourself, what you do, and how you got into healing, and what really gets you going in terms of the healing world and all the magic that involves.
Yeah, I became a healer very recently, and I think like my friends tell me, everybody tells me, oh, this was exactly where you wanted to be. But from 2008, 5 till 2022, I was not sure who I wanted to be. But by degree, I'm an engineer,
Mm-hmm.
and very early on, I realized that was not something I wanted to do. Something was like it was the thing to do. I really come from a place where I was told who I was going to be more than
Right.
asked what do you want to be. So I probably wanted to dance all day and do nothing. So I think yeah. So my journey with healing began in 2016ish, 2014, 2016ish, when I realized that there was something wrong with me and I needed counseling. So, and more importantly, in terms of career, I could not hold down a job for more than 3 months. And like 3 months is an exaggeration also because I would sometimes just quit in 2 weeks. I'd be like, "Mujhe nahi karna."
Mm.
So I was like, "Oh, something's wrong with me. I'm not able to hold down jobs. So what is missing? I need career counseling." And somehow I came across Suniti,
Mm-hmm.
and she's still my coach. So I came across her. We had like this one, what we now call a discovery call, right?
Mm-hmm.
We had this one meeting, and she told me all about herself. I told her all about me. And she was so sweet and gentle. She's like, "Yeah, sure, we'll figure out your career issues and this and that." And before I knew it, I was in therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that has been like just the best journey of my life because I was so from 2008 till 2017, I have had like some 15, 20 odd jobs.
Mm.
And then I suddenly stopped working. I
Okay.
just wanted to heal and I just wanted to study.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I don't care. I just want to study. And luckily I had friends who helped me out. So yeah, I think after therapy, I just went into nonviolent communication. I learned about experiential education. Then I was introduced to the world of Gaurav Dekka.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've never looked back. I learned about inner child. I learned about systemic medicine, where we are trauma-informed healers,
Mm-hmm.
detectives, we like to call
Mm-hmm.
ourselves. And somewhere in all of this was a dreamer who was trying to understand the world. So she was very fascinated by astrology and numerology. And somewhere along the line, in 2005, when I was very young, I picked up tarot.
Mm.
And, I now understand when people say that keep taking up projects, even if they fail, you don't know what's going to thread into your tapestry later on. And for me,
Mm.
that happened, like for me, then healing became like everybody tells me I'm good with tarot. I love
Right.
to learn about everything about humanity, human psyche, spirituality. So why not combine the two?
Mm. Mm.
So, long story long, I am today a trauma-informed tarot healer. And I have along the way really picked up the faith in magic, in ourselves, in radical self-love.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where I am now. So, I think that is what happened when there were so many choices that so-called failed because of something was wrong with me. Now I realize there's this concept of neti neti, you
Mm-hmm.
know, not this, not this, not this, not this. And in the end, you become nothing and everything. So today
Wow.
I am a combination of all those failed choices.
What a beautiful journey, and then what it led to. It's almost like alchemy for you. That's how it
Yes,
sounds. Yeah,
that's
yeah.
that is a beautiful word to explain my retrospect. Absolutely. Yeah.
So, w- having gone through so many choices, Asa, generally in terms of like society and what people said, and like you said, so many times you you kind of failed in order to understand what you really wanted. So how was it emotionally for you as a person, as a healer? I mean, I guess people also would like to know, and other healers as well, because of these all the unconventional choices that we make, and how difficult it is for us to stand by them, and it's only
Yeah.
later when people see some sort of, things clicking or some sort of a success, they are like,
Yeah.
yeah, that it was perfect, but it wasn't right to begin with.
It
So
was
how was
not.
that journey for you?
I think I think getting into therapy was the best parachute I could have had because I was broken down.
Mm,
Okay, um like there was a time when I had a the hustle culture friendship group, right? Like where we're discussing salaries and how productive we are and how little we sleep. And in all of that,
yeah.
I'm like, I'm sick again today. And they just would look at me and they'd go like, but we worry about your stability. And I just realized that it's just easier sitting with shame than sitting in shame.
What does it mean?
You know, what it means is it's okay when I have externalized my shame, where I'm like, yeah, man, I really need to figure something out. Yeah, I need to be stable. And sit in shame is sitting alone and going like, why is
Mm,
stability so important to me? What is the safety in this unsafety of stability? Because I understood that the corporate culture, the hustle, the getting up at 9, the sleeping at 5 is not for me. I sleep when I want, I get up when I want, I'm creative when I want.
mm,
It made me feel excluded. And what happens when we get excluded, we externalize our shame. Let other people tell me how I'm not a part of the group. And maybe that is how
mm,
I'm a part of the group. But sitting in shame is going like, oh, this makes me uncomfortable. I know everybody thinks this is right, but this is
right.
absolutely wrong. I cannot sit with this shame of discomfort anymore. I'll sit in the shame that I have craved validation of my parents so much that I took
Mm,
on their lifestyle to mean something for me. And I am now proud enough to go like, I am different. Because there's shame and exclusion, right?
yeah, yeah.
ओह अच्छा आपकी बेटी कुछ नहीं करती हाँ ओ घर पे बैठी रहती है तो आप लोग पैसे देते हो there are and the thing
Yeah.
is that when we externalize shame we take that thing in and we call the daughter and we're like पता है आज मुझे क्या बोला पता है आज मुझे क्या बोला and that's
Mm,
what I mean, that we sit with shame and we pass it on but once we
right.
sit in shame in reflection it will never come back again
Profound.
you know yeah, I think that's that. And I'll tell you what, I learned this lesson very recently. So there have been small little things. So even though I'm talking about 2014, but since then, even now, but
Mm,
I do say it never comes back. The same thing never comes back.
right.
Because
Exactly.
as you learn, your ego also learns.
Mm-hmm.
So it keeps coming back in different forms. But when you've learned to sit with it, you can make friends with it. Now I don't
Mm,
worry about getting angry, breaking, uh, sitting in pain,
mm-hmm.
reflecting of anything. But earlier it was like I cannot sit with those thoughts. So it was painful.
Mm,
But it is a journey.
yeah.
It is a
So,
journey.
you must have then, were there different modalities that helped you sit with, different emotions? And do you want to talk about that? Or was it mostly therapy and like working with other people, like, helping you deal with stuff?
It was something of everything. It was for me
Right.
like literally how, in retrospect, it's so easy to find patterns. But exactly like my corporate jobs,
Mm,
I was not satisfied with any one answer. I
mm,
think it is when I finally did. Pune University offers this beautiful gem, a hidden gem of a course called Diploma in Applied Mahayana Buddhist Psychology.
mm,
Okay. And it is the most scientific philosophy course I have been to. Like, that is where I finally, Joe, I was telling you now that I couldn't find my answers. In
mm,
experiential education, I learned, I can say, how to hold safe spaces for my clients. In non-violent communication, I learned about self-love. I think in Buddhism, what happened is they said you have all these tools, right? Now
mm,
apply to remove fluff. So I think I had those, like a recipe. So my life book was like a recipe, like, 50 grams of experiential education, 2 years of NVC3. And then that cooking was that 9 intensive months of
mm,
this psychology where I learned how to use my mind as a tool rather than as an informer, you know.
mm,
It's a toolkit. The minute you give it some power, it becomes a liar.
mm, mm,
Okay, so it's a toolkit. And that is what I learned that is one place where I would say that it all came together. But again, uske baad I learned inner child, uske baad I learned these trauma modalities of inherited trauma through family systems. That completely changed me as an individual only. Like how I see life now
mm.
is no longer how I saw before that.
How?
You know, um, like if you say, "Ki, how was your day?" And I'll be like,
Mm,
right? And when you actually work through the lens of trauma, you
mm,
actually like, in the morning, I woke up to a blank slate. But the first message on my phone put me here, activated me like this. So that put me in a reflective state. Distracted, I watch TV. Like at the end of the day, when you
mm,
actually recount the day, it is not me. It is not मैंने ये किया, मैंने वो किया, मैंने वो किया. It literally becomes my mind was in this state. Then it shifted to
mm,
this. Then it shifted to this state. Then it shifted to this state.
mm, mm,
And when you ask, like, I'll give you a small example. Today we were talking, my husband and I were talking, and I told him a couple of things that irritated me, and I couldn't sleep all night.
mm,
Okay, and he's like, tell me the things, and I was like, they were not important because I realized that these three things were pinpointing to some rage. So I started reading about rage. And then I went off
mm.
to sleep. And when I woke up, I had completely understood why those three things that happened daily annoyed me yesterday. So
Right.
it changes the way you look at things. It does not change life, but it changes how you look at life.
So, what's really intriguing, is that you just said that the kind of structure or like the kind of lifestyle that people constantly talk about, 9 to 5, having this and then sleeping at this time and then, not being able to
Yeah.
sleep or whatever it is. And then you breaking from it, right? Then the life that comes, and of course, then you chose the paths that you have to take. So NVC and then Buddhism and then inner child. But then there is also this risk that you take of structurelessness, right? So then
Yes.
how do you is there something you envision for yourself that this is where it's going? Like, is there a goal or having no goal? And because I also know that in Buddhism, there is something around, trying to, like you're saying, like letting go of the fluff. And so then actually becoming nothing. So, how do you reconcile this life of wanting something and then, not wanting, and then becoming that?
Brilliant, brilliant question. Um, by giving in to the want, okay. So I will break it down for you. That is how these different tools help you bring things together, right? When you want something, that desire generally is an inner child desire. Okay. You can put as much intellectual logic to it. It's an inner child desire. Why you want to be CEO? Because when you were young, all your dad could talk about was work, 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 work. Okay. So you've inherited that ambition, and now you want ambition. You don't know why ambition is good. Because daddy liked it. Mom respected daddy for it. So you now want that respect. Okay. Like I come from a migrant family. Okay. Why stability is important for us? We were forced away from our motherlands to find a new home in the middle of our lives. I was a child then, when my parents were in the middle of their lives. You know, I can't even imagine changing my schedule at 36 today. They had to change their homes. The one thing that therefore their safety was that every month there is consistency. Consistency was safety for them. What did I learn? That they feel relieved that things are on plan. So let me be planning. When I understood this, that my desire actually for planning is not my body's desire. It is the inner child's desire to please the parents. So what I did was I sat with the inner child and asked her, what does safety mean to you? And she's like, sleeping all day long. And I was like, so we'll sleep all day long. And that is how you reconcile. Because, you know, I said this in one of my classes, okay? I said, you guys are going to kill me for it, but I'm going to be very controversial. Intellect and logic are the last resorts of the anxious, the unsafe. You know, I'm flipping the script on its head. I'm saying your emotions are trying to tell you a story. Your logic is lying to you.
Absolute opposite. Yeah.
Yes, because let me ask you, how many of your worst case scenarios have come true in the past 1 month? Like none of mine. None of mine. I had some 20 worst case scenarios. None of them came true.
Though they seem so real, right? Yeah.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Your brain is such a powerful tool, you know, that the imagined reality is as powerful as the truth.
Right.
No matter how far away from your imagined reality the truth might be, you know. So your brain is lying to you. Use the toolkit. Don't give it power.
Right. So then, Astha, then in that, just moving on from that question or like the same train of thought, how important is faith for you? Or like
Very
how
important.
important?
But continue asking what you were
Yeah,
asking.
and then how has it helped you, I guess, in your journey, and then also moving on and working with other people in your, practice, all of that. Yeah.
Faith is what I define as wise hope. Okay. In Buddhism, there is hope and there is wise hope. Okay. Hope is I will always be happy. Okay. Wise hope is I will manage through all states. Do you hear the difference? Because so faith is important that in the same way, when you go to sleep, do you ever worry if it's going to be morning tomorrow?
Maybe
You know what
some
I
people
mean?
do. Yeah.
Some people in some places of the world, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like sun is going to come up tomorrow, you know? So the faith that there is another day, another breath is what wise hope tells us, that to not pin everything on this attachment of every day will be happy.
Yeah.
So faith for me is God for me, or universe for me, mentors for me, teachers for me. It all comes down to me. The first faith you need to have is in yourself. You don't know your last breath. So you for sure know the next breath is happening. You know, Schrodinger's breath. Assume the next breath is happening. So then when the next breath is happening, why are we wasting this breath in worry? That faith is very internalized for me. There are very few, like I have my deities, I have my faiths, I have my moon, I have my, I have my symbolism. But faith for me is very internal. Faith is very same as self-love to me. God love and self-love are the same to me.
Now that you brought up symbolism, I mean, I also work with a lot of, like tarot and other things that are external, where, it's something you can touch and do. But like
Yeah.
you said, faith is internal. That's where sometimes I feel like wobbly because it's internal. So then I feel like, okay, I don't know if there is an anchor yet, or if there is an anchor, I don't know how to touch it or how to feel it. So does it become difficult for you to manage the two, or you really do believe that that's something that's, unseen is there and you can tap into it?
I can touch myself. I if it starts at that, see it, you are absolutely right. And it's a journey. It starts at sensory and then
Yeah.
it goes to parasensory. You know what I mean? Like, so then start at sensory.
Okay.
Who do I believe? I believe in my fingers. I believe in my hands. I believe in my breath. I believe in my body. Okay. I believe in my experiences. If I believe in my body, then I believe in my trauma. If I believe in my trauma, I believe in my gift.
Right.
So it's a journey, it's never a hop. Like you said, I find it difficult to anchor myself. So do I. Many days it's like, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? Why this roller coaster ride of not knowing anything any day?
Right.
And so then I could, like, I say, oh, so you want structure. I could, like, be my own judge. But I go like,
Right.
okay, breathe. Okay, breathe. Right now, just breathe. Right now, let's put on a candle that smells nice. Right now, let's bring out our coloring books. Right now, let's bring out our tarot set. Like you said, these are tangible things. So let us start with our sensory experiences. Right now, we bring out a tub of ice cream.
Right.
Because you see that find a sense, hold onto that sense, and then start with that sense and go to the spiritual.
Right.
And I think we this is where we came earlier also. This is how you merge the two. This is how you find the zero difference actually between the external and the internal, between the God and the self. We think that it is either or. It is actually a journey from either to or, to and.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how I do it. Very honestly, that's how, like, I'll sit and the first sense I indulge is my taste.
Right.
Okay, now I've come to my breath. This year was the first time where I realized that, oh, I can go to my breath. But honestly, I would always start with taste and then I would go to smell, because good, good sense really help you relax, like, because sense are memories. You're anyways, with taste, you're going to memories. With smell, you're going to memories. With memories, the inner child is relaxed. Half
So
the
this
work
is
is
a
done.
grounding technique.
Yes.
Cool. So why don't you tell us a little bit about maybe the different modalities that you work on and,
Yes.
how they all come together? Because you told us how you reached there.
Yes. So, like I said, I picked up like 5-10% of everything and I made my own stuff.
Yeah.
So right now, I am calling myself a radical self-love coach. Okay. So what I mean is I keep bringing the conversation to where did you stop loving yourself for this feeling? At what age? So it's a bit of a self-love technique that takes you directly into your inner child. You know, whatever
Right.
statement you start with, and generally the statements start with, this person said something to me, and I think they are like this. So we then bring, of course, with talk therapy resources, we're like, okay, how do you feel about that? We get them to I statements, and then quickly we go like, okay, where in the body do you feel it? Okay, so this is somatic work, right? Where in the body do you feel it? What does it feel like? If it had a voice, what is the first thing it would say to you? If it had a shape, what would it look like? If it had a color, what would it look like? At what age were you when you built this into your body? And that is immediately taking them to their inner child. Then, so I'm actually telling you a little bit of how my session also looks like. It starts with a little talking, then it goes into a little somatic work. And then we work with the inner child. We do a little bit of inner child work. Or then we go to the family. Who does it really belong to? Does it belong to mom, dad, any other guardian, any other, teacher, anything? Then, of course, depending on the person, that somatic work gets stopped there. And then I take out the tarot cards. So this is what a session looks like. But generally, my sessions are a mix of body work, breath work, tarot, and then for the people who are in a longer engagement with me, right? We will, after 5-6 sessions, you actually start realizing that even though the inner child work is being done, the trauma work is being done, some patterns, some words, notice some words, you notice patterns, and then you're like, okay, this maybe requires a family constellation, which is one of my favorite, most magical modalities to work with. Okay, tarot and family
Actually,
constellation
can you tell
together.
us a little bit about family constellations, what it
Yes.
is?
So these are my, first I'll tell you, these are my dolls. These are my family constellation dolls.
Wow.
My best friend painted them for me, and she gifted them to me. And okay, so family constellation is, to put it in a way that most people would understand, is when, imagine mapping out a family tree, okay, using elements. Okay, now these elements are your ancestors, starting from parents to others, right? So
So
what
they
you
can be
do,
alive as well?
they can be alive, they can be dead, they can be as Purani as 100 years ago, they can be as recent as um, the brother that mom lost before I was born. It can be like that. So we, of course, take in all births. You take this as that birth begins after, like a month of conception or whatever. So all births are taken as family members, whether they were successful births or not. So they also become very important trauma elements of the story. So now, before I tell you what family constellation is, we say the stories that are not told become the traumas that unfold.
Oh.
Yeah. So if I come from a family, which I do, by the way, where step marriages, I mean, second marriages have happened. Okay, let's say the first wife had 2 kids, and then very young they died, and because in that era they would say, no, you should have a mother for your children, so another wife comes, right? So the second family, will feel, if they don't talk about the first family, which generally people don't, no, there's no step, that's all joint. So we are not saying that discriminate, but we are saying speak, tell the stories, right? Because you have to keep them alive through their memory. Otherwise, they'll stay alive through their trauma. So the second step family, randomly in some generations, they will feel like they are not chosen. They will feel that other people are prioritized over them. They
Yeah.
will feel abandonment issues, you know. And you try to do inner child and you try to do this, and you're like, 5, 6 sessions, but still this thing is coming. Then you'll take them to family constellation. So you map
Mm.
out their family tree looking through the lens of the word of abandonment. So you put the person, they will be one element. Then you put two more elements, mother and father. So now, so that the clients themselves, because sometimes we don't know the stories, but
Mm.
we say we remember stories, right? We say the body remembers. So, like I said, there is a connection between science and spirituality. The thing is that we remember stories through our body that of ancestors long forgotten. So we bring in people and we ask them
Mm.
to roll into these objects. We say the client will not tell the story. You, who are strangers to the client, will tap into the system, will tap into your unconscious connection to the mass. Come into the system and tell us what you feel. Such magical things come out.
Yeah.
Such magical things come out, you know. I have seen, like, the client is sitting, right? They're sitting and they're off the feed, right? They're on a direct message to me. They can observe the Zoom call. The representatives do not know that who the client is, what the
Right.
story of the representatives are only telling you that I feel anxious, I want to move away from this element, I want to move close to this element. So it's as
Yeah.
basic as that, right? And you'll ask, oh, how are you feeling? And the representative of the client will say, I'm feeling my throat sore. I'll get a message from the client, I have a pain in my throat.
Ask
I
the one
have,
question. So, how are the representatives embodying that energy, tapping into the system?
we call it the systems energy.
Ah.
We say that we are all, so this is where it comes that we are all connected as one,
Mm.
like an underground network of roots. If one
Mm.
leaf 5 kilometers away has felt an insect, the whole forest comes to know from the underground root signals. We
Mm.
believe we are exactly connected like that, you
Mm.
know. And so, interesting question about faith, right? A lot of people have come to me cynical. The same question you asked, but in a more like, how can this happen? And I'm like, why don't
Mm.
you observe?
Mm.
You know, I have everybody who has come to me as a cynic, I
Yeah.
have given them a family constellation to represent. I'm like, become an element and be true to yourself. All I will say is be true to yourself.
Yeah.
And I have them in my family representative group permanently now. They're like, no, anytime you have an FC, please let us know. We would love to be representatives. So that is uh, where healing
Mm.
really connects us. You know,
Perfect.
self-love to God love that I'm saying, that's very important, is because when I love myself strongly enough, I believe that you can roll into my family and tell me better where the trauma lies, probably because I am too close to it,
Yeah.
you know. So that's how I personally believe it works,
Yeah.
you
Wow.
know.
And then also when people come and, for people who don't really believe, who don't have the faith, is it possible for them to get healed as well without really, trusting the process?
Of course, a flower doesn't understand the water cycle of biology. A
Mm.
flower just blooms.
Mm.
In the right conditions,
Mm.
anybody can heal, you know. The thing is, what they need to have faith in again is themselves. Can
Mm.
you believe? Can you believe that you will heal?
Mm.
And literally, your healing process is a direct reflection of your faith.
Mm. Yeah.
That is why you need to have faith. I mean, in the sense, you don't have to have faith in my system. Even if you have,
Mm.
let's say, oh, you're a great friend of mine, and you're like, you know what, I don't know tarot, but I believe you. So how about you do me a session? I actually now don't entertain that anymore. But earlier I would. Earlier I was like, yes, come. come just for my energy, come. And they would leave feeling quite energized. I have had many repeat friends repeat clients, friends becoming repeat clients. But yeah, it's not in the modality. It's not. Sometimes it's not even in the healer. It's just in yourself. Actually, it happens ulta because you start with the healer. You're like, मुझे नहीं पता आप कर दोगे, but आप कर दोगे.
Yeah,
That also helps
that also helps. So
because you're a
some sort
mirror.
of, yeah. Mm.
Just
And
any
I,
faith can heal.
yeah. And I think the fact that they're coming in itself is that they sort of obviously want to be healed or want the process. There's
That's
some belief. Yeah.
exactly. Earlier I used to feel really bad for people that I couldn't convert.
Hmm.
But then I realized I was being selfish because the very fact that they came and they had a discovery call or they had that chance meeting with me was
Mm.
I was just that person who had to start that journey. Now they can go ask 10,000 other people, but at least they have become curious. They have started.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you're absolutely right. At least the very fact that they're even questioning, the very fact that they're even fighting means they are in the good fight.
Yeah. And then can everyone be helped who comes to you?
By me, no.
Mm.
See, because that question has a dual layer. If I say yes, that is because on them, everybody has the potential to heal. And if I
Mm.
say no, it's because I can't heal everybody. I cannot be a Jagat Janni. So by me, no. But everybody who comes to me can be healed.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely. It's like
Yeah.
dating, right? I don't know if you've discussed this before, but I keep telling people finding a healer is like dating. You know. You don't stay with somebody because you respect them. You stay with them because you genuinely feel that the efforts you're putting in, they're also putting in.
Mm.
The vibe
Mm.
has to match. So
Yeah.
it's the same with a healer. It's the same.
Then, Astha, with the process of say this, the practice that you have, and the number of clients that you deal with, so do you feel there is burnout? Do you have like a protection, ritual, or like how do you deal with it, and how do you deal with the burnout, if there is?
I I actually am at the other end of the spectrum where I am right now, in fact, dealing with my inherited fear of busyness.
Mm.
In fact, I am at that place where I will take only so many clients where I don't get anxious. So like I feel like I'm so far away from thinking
Mm.
about burnout because I am just like I can only have one session a day, otherwise I'll burn out. I'm there. And I am actually
Mm.
working with my coach on how to increase my capacity for busyness, in
Yeah,
fact.
yeah.
you
Mm-hmm.
know I'm on the other side, but grounding. And I do know what you mean because there were times when I was doing a lot of free stuff, I was offering a lot of stuff, so I thought that if I'm busy all the time, I will be
Mm.
earning all the time. It was all
Yeah,
about money,
yeah.
again in some form of the way of stability, back to money. I now am somewhere where I want 2 sessions a day where I'm happy, and the rest of the day has to be in a flow of mindfulness. कि मतलब आज कंटेंट लिखा तो लिखा, नहीं लिखा तो नहीं लिखा, zone out in front of the TV or that. So things like that, I feel, uh, I feel that that's where I'm at. But about burnout, what I realized is it was me desiring to stay busy so that I wouldn't get distracted. I mean, so I would be distracted by not hearing the inner child because the inner child was
Mm.
anxious, the inner child was screaming, So those days, what I would do is I would do fire grounding.
Mm.
Fire
What's that?
grounding is the best for really letting go. So this candle is very hot, but it's still try. Okay, so you keep a candle in front of you, right? and you meditate, right? You just focus on the candle. And
Mm.
then what I generally do is I would give the day's everything to the fire. You know,
Mm.
we cut cords. So with the day, what I would do is the major events that would happen, that would burn me out, as I say. So I would give it to the
Mm.
fire, you know.
Wow.
Now,
So
I
purging. Mm.
yes, exactly. So I would just picture it all coming concentrated to my center and then pouring it out in the fire. And then cord cutting rituals where you picture whatever thought, whatever person, whatever situation that you would like to distance yourself from. You picture a cord connecting the two of you. You cut very close to them, very close to you, in the center, give it to the fire. So that was energy work that I would do. I would do a lot of journaling that time. You know,
Mm.
I was really helped by different kinds of journaling. Acha, even in my grounding exercises, no, I would not have a routine.
Mm.
I will give you five, six things I did. I have art journaling. I have like a cabinet of stickers. Okay, a
Mm.
cabinet of
Mm.
stickers and a cabinet of journals, which I would just keep on sticking. I have a cabinet of wax beads where I would
Mm.
make stamps. So
Mm.
I have different ways. You know, it honestly, looking back, it depends on how deep the burnout was. That much
Mm.
creative I would be,
Wow. Yeah.
you know. So I'm now realizing the pattern. But yeah, so even my grounding was very contextual.
Mm.
Sometimes fire, breath work, firework is enough. But some days you need to get those words out of you.
Yeah.
Then sometimes you don't have words, you just have those emotions just ranging. So you just take color pencil and then you do mandala coloring. So yeah, like literally, I think this whole conversation has become about inner children also again. I would literally let my inner child take over because you have
Oh,
to work through those emotions of burnout.
yeah. If there's one exercise or one simple thing that you could tell, like, the audience, for them to be able to connect with their inner child today, what would that be? Something that everybody could do, probably.
I would say that first do your grounding, connect with your body deeply. And then I would say, would you like to do it with me? Should I do it with
Okay,
you? Do it for
sure.
everybody? Great. So I feel we're nicely connected to each other. Just have like a small grounding exercise. You know, let's just take three deep inhales, three deep exhales, and just go into the center of our body. Okay, let's start. Okay, so now as we are connected with the center of our body, I would like to do this with you. Okay, Anisha, I just want you to go into your body and bring up the safest, happiest memory of your childhood. Bring it up now. Is it up? What
Yes.
age are you?
Probably 7, 9, 7 to
Okay,
9.
let's do 7. Okay, I'll call her 7-year-old. So now I want you to look at this 7-year-old Anisha, okay, who's feeling the happiest and the safest. Okay, and I want you to look her in the eyes. Do you see her?
Mm-hmm.
Does she see you?
Yeah.
I want both of you to make intense eye contact and hold each other's hands. Okay? And I want you to repeat after me while looking into the 7-year-olds. I see you.
I see you.
I hear you.
I hear you.
I love you.
I love you.
You are the most beautiful child in the entire world.
You're the most beautiful child in the entire world.
How does she feel when she hears you say this?
She's happy.
I want you to hug her. And as you hug her, I would like you to put your arms right now physically around you, like you're hugging yourself and her. Yeah. And as you hug her, she begins to feel peaceful and at rest. And she goes off to sleep and she goes into your body. Where in your body does she go?
My heart.
So keep both your hands on your heart. Allow a beautiful pink healing light to enter from your hands into your heart, and picture she's completely safe in this pink light security blanket. And now, Anisha, every time you are worried, you will connect with this. Allow the yawn to come out. That's great release. That means she's sleeping. That means she is well rested. So now set this heart in your heart, set this as a watch that every time you feel ungrounded, allow this 7-year-old to come up and remind you that you are seen, you are heard, and you are loved. Wow. Yawn as loud as you can, huh? Yawning is an excellent release. So once this is complete, once your heart is full of this pink light, you can come back to this moment, open your eyes, and relax.
Wonderful. Very grounding, and I could just feel like soothing energy taking over.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Because we
Yeah.
brought up the happiest, safest
Mm.
memory. And now what
Yeah.
happens? I would like you to tell me, in fact, later, that in this week, there will be times when obviously you're going to be flustered. There'll be times when plans will not. So you will be anxious. Okay. So tell me
Yeah.
if your heart beats a little warmer, reminding you that, hey, hi, let's play a
Yeah.
little, let's be safe a little. Yeah. See
Wow.
how it works out in your life now. And everybody watching can do the same. And they can, reach out to you, comment and whatever, and tell us how
Yeah.
small 10-second 30-second you can pause while I'm talking, because
Yeah.
this is going to
Yeah.
be good. So
Yeah.
like you can extend it as long as you want and
Yeah.
integrate her for or him, the inner child, for as long as you want.
Wow. Yes,
Yeah.
I would also urge everyone watching to try and then let us know how they feel.
Yeah.
Um, just generally, you since you brought up busyness a lot, right, in the last question that we were on. So, I wanted to ask you, do we, because of the way we are in our like daily lives, not just as healers, but like in, different professions, get addicted to, being busy? And then also it brings up the other part where clients come to you, and do you feel like sometimes they are also addicted to suffering? And then how do you, I mean, I know there are different questions, but then it's just being addicted to a certain energy. So how do you work around that, I mean, as a healer and then with such clients?
Every time somebody says addiction, I'm immediately reminded of Dr. Kapoor Mate. And he is just he's just an expert on all things
Mm,
addiction. And he says something very beautiful. Addiction is not a disease, it's not a weakness. It is a response to pain.
yeah.
Okay, so I'll tell you why we are addicted to busyness. Because if I'm going to sit here, you know, my thoughts are going to overtake me.
Mm,
My thoughts, by my conditioning, are designed to keep me in survival mode, to keep me angry, to keep me afraid, to keep me ready for worst case scenarios. You know,
yeah.
the thing is, we stop there. At
Yeah.
no point do we go a little deeper and say, is this true? Are you sure? You know, and then Dr. Gaurav takes it 2 steps further and says, who would you be without this thought process?
Mm,
Okay. And how does this thought process help you? And this is not How does it help you? But it is a genuine question. How does it help you? Because then you go into your survivalist mode and say, you know what? Keeping worst case scenarios in my mind keeps me prepared. Prepared for what? I don't know, but it keeps me prepared. So preparation means being in control. So what are you actually looking for? Control. Why are you looking for control? Because if you would sit for a minute in this world, you would realize you control nothing but your thoughts. You know, and when you control nothing but your thoughts, you want to control your thoughts the best you can.
Yeah.
That's where I feel addiction to busyness and addiction to suffering comes from. You know, yes, there I do find my clients going back to over and over again, but why does this keep happening to me? Or why isn't this getting resolved? So I ask them, because it is helping you. What is the benefit? Okay. So I ask them then you flip it. Like, what is the worst that will happen if your best dreams come true?
Worst
And
that
you
will
have,
happen.
yes, you have to answer that question. You know,
Mm.
and if you ask me, right, if I become like the healer that I do want to become, I might have no time. I might have to follow the structure that I left behind in the first place. I might have to risk burnout. I might have to work. I don't, I like resting. You know what I'm trying to say? So
Yeah.
I'll share my own thing. A very interesting thing came. I will become visible. What happens when I become visible? My family that has again seen the trauma of visibility. The trauma of visibility is death in my family. Do you see how scared I am, therefore, to be seen, to be heard? What if, and this is my fear, okay, I'm talking to you on a public platform where it's going to go live, thousands of people are going to see it. My fear is, what if somebody doesn't like me?
Yeah.
My fear is, what if somebody doesn't like me? Because and it's not that I'm people pleasing. Yes, that is that inner child, but there's an inherited trauma. If somebody doesn't like you, they can kill you. If
Yeah.
somebody doesn't like you, they can take you by the throat and they can throw you away from your own house. Like, for me, the powerlessness associated with being disliked is so deeply inherited. It goes back to my family. So that is how we are addicted to our own thought processes. That is why our intellect says, ki, Sun, the worst case scenario I'm telling you is so much better than the worst case scenario that will happen if you
That
sit
will
in your
happen.
place.
Yeah.
And okay, today I read something that just blew my mind. Don't be so committed to your pain that that you forget about healing. And that is what we are. I think that is what happens. We are committed to our pain.
Wow.
We love being in pain. It gives us a reason to feel a semblance of love for ourselves, because we can't directly love ourselves. So we want to pity ourselves.
Wow. So we are in pain and then we feel our own love in that form.
Because probably, Anisha, all of us, social conditioning has taught parents upon parents upon parents that don't give love freely.
Yeah.
They raise your child to be a warrior of the world. So they told us to earn their love. So when we are in pain, that's the only time we used to get free unconditional love. When you're sick, then your mom is not asking about marks. When you have cramps, then your dad is not yelling at you about homework. So how do you take it into your adult life? When you're sad, you are at least deserving of pity. That is the closest form of love that you can get to, because it's so hard to love ourselves. That's why I said radical self-love coach, baby.
Yeah. I mean, this I'm sure will resonate with so many people because I mean, we're sort of going deeper into layers of how we
Layers.
behave. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So, yeah, do you have any other, sorry, you were saying something?
No,
I cut you
I
off.
was waiting for this to sink in, I guess. This was
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
deep one.
So
Before
then, yeah, yeah. So what else motivates you, Astha? I mean, apart from, the healing world and your journey, what else do you do, in life, and what other, things fill up your day, so to say?
I I love to rest. ठीक है,
I
my
love
favorite
it.
hobby is resting.
Yeah.
ठीक है. Um, and I'm not going to diagnose myself by pop psychology wala ki, ADHD and this and that. But I do understand that all of us have some neurodivergence in us. What I have realized is that my absolute rebellion against structure and my desire to have flow, have made me realize that I have phases in a day. I don't have any one typical day, so I have phases. So what I have is lists for each mood. So if I'm in a lazy mood, and I am very strict about using lazy as a mood,
Right.
not as a character trait. Nobody
Why
is
so?
lazy,
Mm,
because we just discussed we are addicted to busyness. Why? There's too many
mm,
thoughts. Nobody can be lazy. There's a scientific experiment done, I forget the details of it, but they put some human beings in a room with a button, and they were told if you press the button, you will get an electric shock. Okay.
mm,
And then they were left in the room, okay, for 2 hours, 3 hours. Okay. And they said human beings are so not lazy that at least 95% of the people were so bored, even though they knew they're going to get shocked, they touched the button. 75% did it again after getting shocked. So our brain would rather get shocked than be lazy. So lazy is a mood, has to be approached as a phase, as an inner child desire. So when I'm feeling lazy, I will lie down and I will, sometimes I doom scroll, sometimes I do Netflix. When I am feeling like I need to do something, but it cannot be work because it's too much work, then I will pick up a book or so. I love reading.
mm, mm-hmm.
So, like at any given point of time, I'm reading 3, 4 books. Again, because cannot stick to one. So I will have like 1 or 2 books on things that I want to study, like a Buddhism book. Abhi I'm
Mm,
reading a book on the tantric female, the divine tantric
mm-hmm.
female. And sometimes I will, even though I've been doing tarot from 2005, I love reading about tarot.
Yeah.
So
There's so
Abhi
much
currently,
coming up. Yeah.
right? So Abhi I'm reading this Elliot something ka, the Fearless Tarot. So
Mm,
I love reading. I love resting. Apart from that, anything else, I have buckets like, oh, would you like to do some content writing for Heal with Triquetra? Or would you like to do a ritual? Or would you like to do some journaling? So what I do try to do is every day I have like, before going off to sleep, I will chant a little bit, I'll write a little bit. And apart from that, I don't do anything daily. I just have lists of
perfect.
things for months. Flow, to
Yeah.
achieve flow.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
So you actually embody it and you live that, right? And that's
Yes,
that's
it
the
was
way,
hard, but this year I feel that I have somewhere accepted some modicum of it.
Wow. And then, wow, it's like we just went with the flow of this interview as
Yeah,
well. Yeah.
yeah.
And we are now on the last segment. So I wanted to end with, maybe miraculous stories of hope and, success for your clients. And if you want to share a few stories with us and, tell people about the various changes and transformations that people have experienced working with you.
Okay. So the first example is me myself. I
Wow.
am a living embodiment of what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have worked with shame on so many levels, you know, or with fear on so many levels that I think today I don't even have to tell people how I change. Just my story, just my words, just my aura is sometimes enough to.
Mm.
And I'm very, I feel like I'm going to be very. I'll come across as very, huh. But I do feel that I've started to accept that sometimes just by listening to me talk, just by sitting with me, just by having a conversation with me, people feel relaxed, relieved,
Mm.
and yet at the same time they are left with something to ponder upon. Okay, so first example is me. Second, I will say that um, I have had people come to me as they have just left their journey of their corporate and how to go ahead, the society, this, that. Actually, the earlier part of that interview is what clients would come to me with, that how do you do this? How do you accept it? How do you go ahead?
Mm.
They are very well known healers now in their circles.
Wow.
2 years ago, they came to me as women who were like, I've just left my job. I don't think I should do it. My husband, my children, and today they are well-known healers with their own circuits, with their own circles, with their own workshops, doing very well. I
Mm.
also have had I really don't want to like take full credit for it, because there's the client's medical habits, their hygiene habits. But with the help of my healing, one of my clients actually had all of their PCOS cleared.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
this is something. And you know what? Like a lot of my coach keeps telling me that you need to advertise this, but I feel very scared because it's a medical condition. You know,
Mm.
I
Mm.
I I am very scared of taking credit for medical conditions going away. But I definitely feel that she had taken like a 6-8 month package with me, and the end of
Mm.
it, many of her medical conditions were either under control or completely gone. So that I
Yeah.
definitely like loved. And I think that I have mostly found clients to be feel empowered after you know
Yeah.
uh, sessions with me. Um, I had a client who had gone through like a really bad breakup,
Mm.
and she was in like one of the worst phases. They were supposed to get married, and like how it
Mm.
goes. Heartbreak in late 30s is hard. So right now, she is doing so well. This was like a year ago, and we did like again a 6 month program. And right now, she is a creative director of a startup, and
Mm.
she is in a very healthy relationship, and she has amazing boundaries, and she is a very magical personality to know and be with.
Wow.
So, I feel one-on-one sessions with me are like a cute little dose of happiness, and then 6 month packages are like you just keep breaking down and then making up, and then breaking down and then making up, and then at the end of the day you are like a different person. And I mean this for myself as well, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. So are you
Thanks,
saying you
Jim.
also grow and like heal with the work that you do with people? Mm.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what,
Mm.
one thing I have secretly started doing is every tarot reading I do is a reading for myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you were supposed to know what the cards were saying, even if the reading was for someone else.
That's
You,
profound because yeah, I connect with that as well. Yeah. Yeah.
you know
Sometimes
what
it's
I
just
mean?
like the cards are reading to you. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean, right? You know
Mm.
exactly what I mean. So
Mm.
it is, in fact, I feel that really, if your clients are not changing you now, then you're probably not that invested in your own healing.
That
Because
that
clients
really
sometimes
does
are,
make. Mhm.
sorry, you're saying.
No, I mean that really makes sense because with every client, with every interaction, with every healing, I mean, you are healing yourself. Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. Like, you know, every time you step into that zone, you are in it with them,
Yeah.
right? And one person cannot heal. I forget the
Yeah.
exact quote, but Carl Jung, you know, when he says that when two people are like chemicals, you know,
Mm, mm,
whenever they meet, either they will have a chemical reaction or they're inert to each other. That means that they made no impact. And to
mm.
think that you're a client and you are inert to each other would seem like a very dull healing session for
Yeah.
both. So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't think you are also changed after a
Yeah.
session. Definitely, definitely.
Yeah. And Asta, I feel like your cat has also been part of the podcast, and
Yeah.
you want to introduce your
This is
cat
one.
to.
This is one
Oh,
of my babies,
okay.
and generally she's not here. She comes here only when, you know, so she comes here when my clients need a little extra protection.
Oh,
You know, so whenever I've seen that, you know, my clients have a little doubt or something, she'll just come here and she'll sleep here. Or
ah.
else the AC is just perfect and she just wants some, she's a little like her mom and she just likes a little attention. So
Ah, perfect. So why don't you tell our audience, Asta, how they can reach you? What's the best way to reach you if they want to contact you?
um they can reach me through Insta. I'm
Mm,
majorly active on Insta. On Insta, I am at both astha.rena. You can reach me there also, but I have a healing page called Heal with Triketra.
okay,
Yeah. So they can reach out to me. They can DM me on Insta, and we can take it from there. They can follow
perfect.
me, and they can call you up, and you'll also direct them to me if they need it.
Yeah, all your info will be in our show notes, so anybody who's watching this can actually reach out to
Can
you
follow.
directly. Yeah, yeah. Perfect. Wow, this was such a wholesome, like actual healing conversation, Astha. Thank you so much
Yay.
for coming. And like I tell, other people who have been on the show, there's just so much content that you guys can keep coming back again and again with more info. And
Yes.
I feel like there can be so many conversations, out of the experiences that
Yes.
you all had. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
This is so much fun. I think I can talk. I can talk for hours about this because something that's very dear to me, something that's very dear to you, as I know, as the previous episodes. Like, you know,
yeah,
um, I love the different kinds of people, the different content, and you know, you get to see so many perspectives. You know, that
oh
is,
yeah,
like you said, can everybody be healed? Yes. Like
yeah,
just to look at your page,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
they
yeah,
just have to pick and choose whoever they vibe with. Like, um,
exactly.
so that is, I love that a lot of gratitude to you for creating a space where it's so easy and so natural to this just felt like a phone call, right? Like
Yeah,
just
yeah,
catching up with each other. Yeah, so thank you to you also for creating this space where I could feel so myself and just talk about everything. Yeah.
yeah. Thank you. And yeah, and we'll come back with another episode soon. So I hope you keep listening to the podcast. Yeah.
I would love that. I keep I follow you and I just love what you're doing. So I'm going to be avidly waiting for the next one.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Okay, bye. Bye. Take care. Bye.